You guys ask me all the time, what tires should I buy for my off-road vehicle? Well, I'm not gonna tell you. What we are gonna talk about are the tires that we're using, what we use them for, and some things for you guys to think about when you're deciding which off-road tires to be selecting for your 4x4. So we've got Chef John here with us. Say hi, John.
What's up, guys?
Hey. Well, we got the 4Runner here. We just got some brand new tires put on it. As well, the Ecodisel JL's got some brand new tires put on it. Let's do a little walk around and talk about those tires, and then I'll hit you guys with some information on things you should be thinking about when buying tires. So let's start off with the 4Runner. We got some new Nitto Recon Grapplers on here. So these are Nitto's newer all-terrain tire. Chef John prefers the all-terrain tire on the 4Runner because
this is still a daily driver.
Still a daily driver, unlike this thing which sits here plugged in. It's a hybrid, right? We keep it plugged in, charged up.
Yeah.
It sits here all day. So John's got a few more necessities out of the 4Runner.
Not a driveway queen.
John wants to stick with a bit more of a modest on-road tire, but he still hits the trails on the weekend. Let's talk a little bit about the Nitto Recon Grapplers because you just switched over from these, and full disclaimer, guys, Nitto does sponsor the channel, but what I did want to talk about is all-terrain versus mud terrain versus like hybrid terrain, because there's all kinds of variations in tires that you can look at now, and there's different benefits and pros and cons. You guys can check out the Recon Grapplers, and we've got the Trail Grapplers once again on the Ecodisel JL. So we'll talk about those in a second. What do you think of the Recon Grapplers so far?
I mean, the first thing is just the look of them. They look awesome. Like, and that is one of the things I think a lot of people, you know, you look at a mud terrain, they're made for really aggressive looks. They're made to be used off-road, obviously. And you get a lot of the all-terrains in comparison look a little timid, look a little mild. These things, they do have really cool, they have two different sidewalls on them, so you can choose.
That's what I really like about these Recon Grapplers. And so let's just cover off different tire versions. So we've got all-terrains, we've got a new hybrid terrain, and then we've got mud terrains and like full mud-on tires. So in the Nitto lineup, these fall in the all-terrain category. Nitto also has the Trail Grappler, which is a full all-terrain. It's got a single tread pattern across the whole tire, and you don't get these gnarly looking lugs on the outside. Now you're probably saying, well, they've had the Ridge Grapplers out for a while, and they've got the hybrid, less aggressive center tread, very aggressive outer lugs, much more like the Ridge Grapplers. So where do these fit in? Well, I think what Nitto is going for is a high mileage, quieter tire because they're not quite as aggressive, and giving you some of that aggressive styling on the outer lugs of the tire, which their Trail Grapplers, their full all-terrains, don't have. Quick pause from the video, guys. I need to ask you a huge favor. Hundreds of thousands of you are watching my videos every month. By being subscribed, it lets me know that you're interested in the channel, and leaving likes lets me know what kind of videos you really enjoy. So hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and let's get back to this week's video. The other thing is Nitto has made these lighter than the Ridge Grapplers because these are, I think, size for size, like 2 or 3 pounds per corner lighter. And size for size, just for comparison, so these are 285/70 R17 on the Recon Grapplers, and if you were to buy 285/70 R17s in the Trail Grapplers, they're like 12 pounds heavier. So the full mud terrain is going to add a lot more weight to each corner. That's going to affect a few things. That's going to affect your fuel economy, because we all care about fuel economy, right? It's also going to change how your Jeep accelerates on the highway when you need to go and pass somebody. These are 54 pounds, but stepping up to a 37, these are like, I think, 83 pounds. Keep that in mind when you're increasing your tire size, but also when you're looking at the difference between all-terrain, a hybrid tire, and a full mud terrain is not just, well, how well is it gonna do off-road, on-road, snow, ice, rain, all your driving conditions, but how is it going to affect your Jeep's performance or your off-road rig's performance, acceleration, and fuel economy?
One thing I can comment on so far, because we do a lot of on-road, as much as you see us going off-road a lot, we do a lot of miles, a lot of kilometers off, like on the road.
Thousands.
Getting to the places, you know, I think our Oregon series, we probably a couple thousand kilometers. I wanted to know if they were quieter than I had my KO2s. and they market these as being relatively quiet.
Yeah, and they're quiet enough that you're not noticing them over the wind noise of all this stuff that you got strapped to the roof and whatnot on your rig. Yeah. I think the other thing too is tread wear. So now we obviously haven't tested how long and how many kilometers we're gonna get out of these new Recon Grapplers, but on Nitto's site, they're saying like 50,000 plus miles. So that's like 75, 80,000 kilometers.
I think it's 88,000 kilometers in Canada.
That is a lot of kilometers. Yeah. And so that's going to cut down on your cost because you're not going to be buying new tires as often. Now, by comparison, on the Trail Grapplers that we have on the Wrangler, well, I've got my last set sitting right here. I haven't even moved them. I've got about 45,000 kilometers on these. And, you know, we're getting down where we're starting to, you know, way past 50%. And we're losing traction off-road. You know, by comparison, here's a wash coin from a car wash, and we will mark it right here. So that's about 45,000 kilometers that we put on them, and then we've got a nice fresh set. How much more tread a fresh set has. So we're like way past 50% on those, which honestly, 45,000 kilometers on a set of tires before I have to replace them on this thing, not so bad. But if it's your daily driver, you could be doing that every year or every other year, and these tires are pretty expensive. So,
and to be fair to Nitto, these are also, most people know, these are a lot softer compound rubber than what the all-terrains are going to be. The all-terrains are generally going to be a harder compound rubber because it is an on-road. And it is one of the features of these. The side lugs on them are a lot harder to help with on-road performance.
What pressure are you running in them on the street?
Yeah, good question. I think it's about 32 right now.
In the low 30s, yeah. So I run mine generally. I run mine in the high 30s on the highway, like 36 to 38 psi on the highway. I don't know if I'm gonna get the right tread wear, but it definitely just feels nicer driving on the highway. The rolling resistance is a little lower. The sidewalls are a little stiffer. And when you're cruising on the freeway for 10, 12 hours at a time, it just seems like a nicer drive. The other thing I want to talk about is how many plies the tire are. Check this out here. And the similar tires will have different plies, but you can first start by looking at the load range. So these are 10 ply tires, load range D. They've got 2 steel, 3 polyester, and 3 nylon. And that's going to be a combination of sidewall and tread. The D-rated tires are not too firm that when you air down, you don't have to air down super low to expand your tread out. If you get E-rated tires with more plies in the sidewalls, then you have to air down lower or have a heavier rig before your tire starts to, I don't even know if we can demonstrate this, but when you air down, you see how it starts to widen out the pattern. That's just the same. And if you have a harder or firmer sidewall, it's gonna take either more weight or less air to make that tread pattern expand. And you can see one of my patches in here. So we've had a couple flats with these, but honestly, it's been just big things jabbing through them. But check out the sidewalls on these. Like, we've put so many gashes in these and they still seem to hold air. I think the one that I actually popped that we couldn't repair had a hole in it so big that you could put your fist through it. Let's see. I put a lot of kilometers, a lot of off-roading on these, and I've only popped one that I couldn't repair, and one has a patch in it, but the sidewalls on these have been awesome. Now, how many ply are these?
So they're 2 steel, 2 polyester, 2 nylon. That's on the tread, and the sidewall has 2.
So they're 8 ply.
Yeah, so they're similar. The other thing I'm really interested to see, we're probably not going to see it on this trip, but definitely this winter. The old ones did pretty well in the snow, like especially in comparison to yours and Sean's on the on his for the mud terrains. And these ones, they are still M&S rated, but they're not the Twin Peaks snowflakes that I had. So it'll be interesting to see how they go. I like the tread pattern. I think it's going to do better where I was seeing the other ones fail a little bit, which was on the rocks and mud a little more.
Yeah, that outer lug pattern I think is going to be an upgrade. Yeah. They still have like stone ejection. They have I want to say water ejection, but it's water. They can disperse the water and the snow, the sipens on them. Now, by comparison, you look at these. There's barely any siping on here. These are great on the rocks. They're good in the mud, but as soon as you get into the snow and ice, they're definitely different. Now, I've gotten to a lot of places in the snow with the Trail Grapplers. For me, they've been quite good in performance, but definitely when it snows on the road, you start to see where these things don't shine. I've done fairly well in the rain and the dry, not so bad. When it starts to snow out, I actually air them down on the street to try to get a bigger tread footprint just for driving around when. Yeah. Well, we don't get very much snow here.
I think the slush is the great equalizer. That's what really gets you, as opposed to just the snow itself. You know, we hear that a lot. I think our favorite thing to hear is everybody saying we should be using chains. And there's so many different types of snow. I've driven in snow on the East Coast and the West Coast, Central Alberta, things like that. And there's different types of snow, and unless you've driven in it, you don't know. Dry, hard packing snow is very different from the really heavy, wet snow that we get here, and that's where things like the extra sipens and having that twin peak rating is a big deal. It makes a big difference. Apparently, too, these are quite good for the sand. They have I'd never heard the term before, but scallops on the side.
Scallops.
Yeah, these are.
I love scallops.
So you'll actually notice that every second lug here has this little scallop on it, and apparently this is that helps in the sand.
Oh, well, let's go to the dunes.
Yeah, loved it there. We'll go back.
The other thing with the stiff sidewall that we kind of got to watch out for is punctures, because the softer your sidewall, that's why we air down. That's another reason why we air down. There's lots of reasons why we air down. Big one being traction and also ride comfort. But also I find when I air down low enough, when you get a big jabby stick in the side of your sidewall, it's like trying to poke a half inflated balloon. If your balloon is completely inflated, you poke it with something sharp, it explodes. If your balloon has barely any air in it, you poke it, it's much, much harder to pop. And I find, in my experience, tires are very much the same. I like to run them as low as I can, and that way, if something jabs the sidewall, because that's pretty much been every puncture I've ever had is in the sidewall, I'm gonna reduce the likelihood of that going through. We're gonna take these out on some trails here. We've got a crazy adventure plan, and we're gonna do some testing with these. Let's go hit the trail.
We're on day 3 of our trip. The tires, I think, have been fantastic. We've hit almost everything except snow. We've hit gravel, dirt, tons of shale rocks going up the mountain, hit some sand, a lot of mud going through it, got right through. We even went through a river, did our favorite water crossings. The Recon Grapplers I think they did everything I threw at them. I didn't think at any time on the trip so far that they were lacking at all. Especially in the mud, I think they actually did quite a bit better. And the looks of of the Recon Grapplers, I just love them. A lot more aggressive than a lot of the other all-terrains out there. Again, only thing we didn't really throw at it was snow, so we're gonna be doing some of that later in the year, and we'll do another update after that.
It seemed to be just a really good, all-around weekend warrior.
Yeah.
Get out in some of the trails, like we're out here, backcountry, forest roads, mud. There you go, guys. Nitto Recon Grapplers. Available in many different sizes. Go check them out if you want something a little bit milder, but very capable for your off-road rig. Hit the subscribe button on the channel. Leave a comment if you have any questions, and hit that like button. I appreciate it a ton. I'll see you guys in the next video.